All right. So, I wanted to provide a little bit of background about what we've been looking at over the past couple of days. Cake is the controller and keyboard events layer for Fuselage. Now, it might seem a little underwhelming that I have mouse, keyboard, and controller support in Fuselage now. This is something I had in the ANUS version that was built on top of Raylib. Raylib provided those functions. If you're making a game, you would typically use a game engine or some framework, and it's going to provide these functions for you. Since Fuselage has the goal of having no dependencies outside of itself, I had to create my own input layer. Cake provides that layer. Is it going to be as complete as something you're going to get from a game engine like Godot or a framework like SDL or Raylib? No, probably not. It's going to provide only the things necessary for the Fuselage VM. Every subsystem I build is going to be tailored specifically to be fast, efficient, lightweight, and made for the virtual machine itself. That means pretty much passing raw state information to the VPU. So there isn't going to be a lot of the extra features that some of these frameworks and libraries provide. This is done for efficiency reasons, but it also means that anybody developing games using the machine-independent system language, which is a pseudo-assembler, will have to do a lot of the work themselves that they would typically rely on a game engine or library to do for them. That does shift a lot of the work to the developer, but the trade-off is much smaller, more efficient programs. Remember, Fuselage has the goal of creating a system that emulates a game system that could have existed somewhere in the late 90s, early 2000s. Some think maybe Neo Geo or maybe super powerful Amiga, Sega Saturn, something like that, with more modern touches. So we're going to have more memory, we're going to have faster processors, but we're also going to be limited to a fixed function pipeline. This means every feature built into Fuselage is going to be predictable and should create a look and feel that's consistent across platforms. So if you develop a game using Fuselage and you run it on Mac OS, Linux, or Windows, it should be the same on all the platforms. The trade-off, of course, for that is that we will be limited to certain constraints. But if you look at a lot of the new retro-style games coming out lately, I think they would fit very neatly in the constraints that Fuselage is going to provide. Still, because all of the underlying systems are being developed specifically for this platform, that means that I'm having to do a lot of the work that otherwise would have been provided to me by frameworks and libraries if I had used them. Since reinventing the wheel is pretty much the way this whole thing is being done, that means progress tends to be slow. So when you look at the progress I've done with Cake, you might think, well, big deal, you've got keyboard input. When I created the graphics device minimalist framework, you might think, oh wow, you could have used many libraries to do the same thing. Those aren't wrong perspectives, but they are completely missing the point. Fuselage is self-contained. All of the features provided for it are developed specifically for this framework. So, knowing that, you have to understand that I'm doing a lot of things that probably maybe aren't the wisest way about tackling this. I could probably save myself some time if I had used existing frameworks, but I also have a very intimate understanding of how they work. So when I build the virtual machine on top of them, I know what to expect. Anyway, I just wanted to create this video to explain why it is such a big deal that Cake is as far along as it is, and how much of a milestone this actually is, because the buttocks version, when it is complete, should have complete sprite, tile, pixie layers, the text layer, and the input handler layer. The VPU will come probably next. I'm not sure about Sharp, the software-handled audio rendering process. That's going to probably either be in colon or the derriere iteration of the engine. Anyway, if you want to keep track of this ridiculous endeavor, you know what to do with the little button down below. Keep an eye on this space, because I do have a much more in-depth video coming explaining all of the subsystems of Fuselage, giving a more realistic timeline on when you can expect some things to be shown, and also maybe even an announcement of a game, but I'm not going to talk about that just yet. Anyway, have a good one.